Now, I don't have any hard proof, but there are just some movies and shows that seem to get unfair amounts of hate simply because they make people uncomfortable. The examples I've come up with today are Showgirls and them. And I'd like to go through them individually. First up, Showgirls. It's a movie about a small-town girl moving to Las Vegas to become a dancer. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say this movie is objectively bad and unrealistic. First of all, the term objective has little meaning when it comes to art. And secondly, if it's so unrealistic, why do I relate to it so much? My opinion? Much like people who think that Mommie Dearest and Misery are unrealistic, people who genuinely think Showgirls is unrealistic have never set foot in the real world. Of course, a female hitchhiker would have no qualms pulling out a switchblade first thing upon entering a vehicle with a man. Of course, she would throw fries around after losing absolutely everything she owned and having nowhere to go. The lead actress gets a crap ton of flack about her performance, but I think that might be a newer invention of the haters. Roger Ebert, back in the day, had nothing but praise for her performance, even though he had several other things to say about the film. But anyway, I think a big part of why people are so eager to say the movie/acting is bad and unrealistic is because they're uncomfortable watching the graphic assault scene near the end. And it's fine if watching that scene makes you uncomfortable, but be honest about your feelings instead of slandering the quality of the movie. Again, I have no proof, but I have a real strong gut feeling that people are just too weak to admit they're uncomfortable with the movie and leave it at that. They just have to place the blame on the movie itself. Me, personally, I think the graphic scene was justified because it was a moral condemnation of the kind of violence powerful people can get away with, and it had a measurable impact on the story. I get far more triggered by movies that play assault off as a joke or as a blip in a character's life that doesn't really affect anything. General audiences seem far more comfortable with assault that is played off as a joke or a blip, which is one reason I hate everyone. But anyway, even beyond just admitting the real reason you don't like Showgirls, if you're comfortable with assault as a joke or a blip, then you really have no right to be mad about the assault scene in Showgirls. Examine your hypocrisy, dear haters. Another example of a show that gets a disproportionate amount of hate because it makes people uncomfortable is Them. This series is about a black family who moves to California during the Great Migration and must battle both racist and supernatural forces. Now, I think this show is Breaking Bad levels of great. The acting, the visuals, the story, everything is airtight. Everything is spectacular. But with this one, people don't usually dispute the quality of the acting or the visuals, just the story. In very basic terms, people say the story is not good because it's too bleak. But I don't think bleakness makes a story bad. I think, once again, people are just uncomfortable with bleakness, so they blame the story instead of admitting their own feelings. I mean, we can discuss whether bleakness makes a bad story. I think the main argument the haters would pose is that there's no point to a story as bleak as this show. But I think that's exactly what makes it brilliant. What is the purpose of a life without hope? We should explore this question because, whether you like it or not, there are plenty of lives being lived without hope right this second of this very day. And hey, maybe it turns out there really is no point to some or all bleak stories, but considering bleak stories are very real things, I think it's far too big a philosophical question to be dismissed outright or answered quickly. Bleak stories are themselves long-form answers to the question, what is the purpose of a life without hope? Bleak stories are themselves exercises in meaning. See, one way of processing traumatic events is fitting the traumatic events into the story of your life as you see it, a process that carries with it the implication that stories are inherently meaningful, an implication many people would apparently dispute, if their reaction to this show is any indication. Regardless, storyizing trauma is a time-honored method of processing trauma. So maybe the point of a story as bleak as this show is to give people leading bleak lives an example of what their story could look like with a proper beginning, middle, and end. It gives them an example besides their own to dissect for meaning. It turns the process into a visual and collaborative one. Even if a person processes their own bleak life story and finds no meaning in it for themselves. Even then, maybe the point of bleak stories is that they can be told. In being told, they can make other people feel seen. That's the main reason I enjoyed this show so much on a personal level. It made me feel seen. Still, though, there are other possibilities for how bleak stories could be meaningful. I'm sure I haven't thought of them all. Maybe the point of bleak stories is to help people wake up. It's shocking how many full-grown adults are out here spouting naive nonsense about the world being beautiful, and maybe they wouldn't see things in such white and white terms if we could just reach them with bleak stories. Then again, maybe we should just let them sleep. Grifters need to eat too, I suppose. In any case, I firmly believe there is a place for bleak stories in the world of storytelling. Bleakness does not automatically make a story bad, and I am convinced people are just uncomfortable with bleakness, and that is why they hate on this show so much. And there you have it. I feel movies and shows like Showgirls and them have been unfairly maligned simply due to the discomfort people feel while watching them. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching.